following video is not made for kids. Viewer discretion is advised. Hello to my subscribers, this is the TFangi coming to you with a video review that will hopefully be successful, and today we are going to be taking a look at what is going to be the last Transformers figure from the Walmart exclusive Netflix line that I have added to my Transformers collection, and it is the Transformers Netflix Wave 3 Spoiler Pack, which contains Megatron and the Fossilizer Skelevore. Now, the main reason I got this box set from the Netflix line was for the Fossilizer Skelevore. That's why in the title of the video I gave Skelevore top billing, because I got this set just for Skelevore. Or Skelevore was the only figure from this set that I was interested in adding to my Transformers collection, and it's for the simple reason that I wanted to get all of the Fossilizers released in the Transformers Kingdom line. So Megatron was just an added bonus. So as you can tell by how badly damaged the box is, this is a used one that I got off of eBay. So for those of you wondering, if I got this entire spoiler pack just for Skelevore, why did I get the whole box with Megatron in it? And it's for this simple fact. I got the cheapest that Skelevore was going for on eBay individually, like this, out of box, just the figure itself, was $60. And I noticed someone was selling a version of the entire spoiler pack with both Megatron and Skelevore included inside, and with the box beaten up pretty badly, for $65. So I figured for $5 more, what would be the harm in getting another action figure of Megatron added to my Transformers collection? And on that note, this is how used and beat up this copy of the Wave 3 Netflix spoiler pack is. The black Play-Doh that contained the blast effects, along with the tiny version of the Allspark arc, was not included, so I missed out my chance on getting the Allspark arc from this box set. So here's the instruction sheet. It's fairly large, and here is Megatron. When I got this for the first time, Skelevore was on the plastic tray as well. Sorry for having my arm in the way. So that's what Skelevore looked like. So here's just a quick look at Megatron. Again, as I said, I primarily got this spoiler pack for Skelevore, so Skelevore is going to be the main focus of the video, but here is the Netflix Megatron. I'm not going to show off Megatron in his tank mode because I went back and watched the Kingdom series, and I didn't watch every single minute of the Kingdom Netflix show, but the vast majority of the time, Megatron didn't transform into his vehicle mode. He was transformed into his robot mode and just walking around, and this is the second version of Megatron we've gotten in the Netflix line, and overall, this is either the 8th or 9th use of the Siege Megatron on mold, and pretty much all this version has going for it is that it has the paint job that Megatron's cartoon animation model has in the Transformers Netflix Kingdom series. So robot mode is really where the figure shines. He's got the 2 puncture marks from when those 2 metal pipes burst into his chest. He's got the scratch marks from when he was fighting with Optimus Prime on the Ark, which actually happened at the end of Transformers Earthrise. So if you have the Siege Megatron mold, what you see here is what you get. So pretty much the only ones who would go nuts for this version of Megatron are Transformers fans and collectors who absolutely want to have a copy of Megatron that has a paint job matching his appearance in the Kingdom series. And of course, he does come with the one new accessory piece where he's got the Matrix held by ammunition chains, and you can wrap that around the chest, but again, I'm not going to show that off because this accessory piece, it's made of rubber. Even the Matrix, it's rubber. It's very flimsy, and from other reviews I've seen already, it's very difficult to actually get this to attach to Megatron on his chest and keep it on there. So yeah, there is Megatron, and just for a size comparison with a earlier version of the mold, here is Earthrise. Nice Megatron. So you can see here we got a nice clean cut at quote-unquote freshly painted Megatron versus one that's been battle damaged and has been through a war zone and has tangled and battled with Optimus Prime and suffered injuries from it. So yes, that was the Megatron figure from the spoiler pack. Not that exciting since it's, again, it's either the 8th or 9th version of Megatron. I think this War for Cybertron Siege Megatron mold, counting the Earthrise version that I showed off, and all subsequent repaints and retools. I think that mold has been used 9 times. I think the most recently released version was the Shattered Glass Megatron figure that I'm pointing at there behind me above my head. Shattered Glass Megatron was the most recent version. So let's get on to the figure that the video view is focusing on. We have one of the fossilizers from the Kingdom line that is sold exclusively in this Netflix pack, and it is the Fossilizer Skelevore. So an interesting bit of trivia. For those of you wondering, yes, Skelevore, like so many of the other fossilizers in the Kingdom line, Paleotrex, Rectonite, Wing, Ingfinger, and for me personally, I also include the 2 small skeletal dinosaur transformers as fossilizers, Vertebrake and Dracodon. To my knowledge, all of the fossilizers except for one are original characters. The only one, if you count Dracodon and Vertebrake, there's a total of 8 fossilizers that were released in the Kingdom line. And of those 8, the only character that was not an original character and was a character from the original Beast Wars franchise, it is Transmutate, who is mold mates with Skelevore and also Paleotrex. I'm not going to bring out Transmutate because I have her on a shelf where she's out of reach, so I apologize for not bringing Transmutate out, but I will bring out Paleotrex in a moment. So, like most of the fossilizers, Skelevore is an entirely brand new character, and on the Transformers Wikipedia page that presents Skelevor's background information, an interesting bit of trivia. Apparently, Skelevore is a non-sentient transformer. Skelevore does not have a brain and does not possess intelligent thought. Skelevore is actually a drone that Beast Wars Megatron gave to Generation 1 Megatron so that he could always have a fossilizer at the ready to add extra armor and weaponry whenever he comes across Optimus Prime and the Autobots. So yes, Skelevore is just like the Decius Army drones, the ones where they don't have their own minds, they just do whatever they're told. So yeah, that is officially on the Transformers Wikipedia page. That is what Skelevore is. Skelevore is actually an it because Skelevore is just a mindless drone. And it's basically similar to I'm trying to think of another Transformers character that's like this, that is just a drone. It doesn't actually have its own mind. I can't think of any off the top of my head at the moment, I apologize, but if you guys can remember any in the comment section, please remind me of those if you desire. But the handful of Transformers characters that were originally mindless robots that were drones, so to speak, that come to mind, the ones that were given names, they did eventually were given sentient intelligence. Some examples include Generation 1 Nightbird, animated Soundwave. Soundwave started off as a drone that animated Megatron was controlling. And yeah, so it's all up to you if you want to treat Skelevore the way the character is officially recognized by Hasbro, where it's a mindless drone that just does whatever Megatron tells it to do, or you can do what I'm going to do and treat Skelevore, or like the character does have sentient intelligence, has its own mind and personality. So yeah, that is Skelevore in a nutshell, and that's what makes Skelevore unique, in addition to being primarily purple. Fossilizer, the only one to have purple as the primary paint job. And yes, unfortunately, for those wanting Skelevore to have a life of longevity, that is challenged by the fact that 90% of Skelevore is clear plastic. That is right. Almost all of Skelevor's parts that are this shiny metallic looking purple plastic, that's all clear. Even Skelevor's head. The parts that are silver, it's all silver and black, that's all paint. And pretty much the only joints that aren't made out of clear plastic are the joints where Skelevore has articulation. Skelevore's neck joint is made out of black plastic. This joint that provides the bicep swivel, and the hinge joint at the elbow is black plastic. On this arm, it's made out of purple plastic right there. Here, the hip joints are black plastic. The knee joints are made out of purple plastic. Same thing with the heel spurs at the bottom of the feet. And also the dinosaur claws and the tail are made out of solid purple plastic as well. So, in the long run, and if you are very careful with Skelevore and none of the plastic breaks off, you still have a risk of Skelevore having some potential parts that could break. The part of Skelevore that I can see being the most fragile is this one right here. To transform Skelevore correctly, you have to insert the lower jaw of the T-Rex head into this 5mm peg on Skelevore's back. The peg and the dinosaur head are both made out of clear plastic, and so yeah, as you just heard that popping noise there, and you just heard that loud click right there, you do have to apply the same amount of force that you do with the other versions of this mold, Paleotrex and Transmutate, to get Skelevore transformed properly. So out of all the parts of Skelevore, that right there, the lower dinosaur jaw, is the one that I can see if you transform Skelevore a lot. That is the one part of Skelevore that I can see breaking off someday in the future, because that's the part that's going to be experience the most force and have the most friction applied to it every time you have Skelevore transformed. One last part of Skelevore that's made out of solid plastic is the center of the upper portion of the robot mode torso, the chest area. That's solid plastic as well. So for the proverbial question of why in the world didn't Hasbro and Takara Tomy just do Skelevore in solid purple plastic, it would have made Skelevore unique enough. Your guess is as good as mine. If I remember correctly, reading on Skelevore's Wikipedia page, apparently Beast Wars Megatron used a lot of the raw energon that was on prehistoric Earth to make Skelevore, and for Megatron to have his own fossilizer drone exists to do his bidding. So that's why Skelevore is made out of clear plastic, just to emulate the fact that Skelevore is made almost entirely out of energon. And that's nothing new. Throughout the past several years, Hasbro and Takara Tomy, to emphasize a Transformers character that is exposed to large amounts of energon, they use clear plastic to show that this Transformers character has lots of energon in it. And I even way back, like when I was first collecting Transformers figures, the ones that were made out of clear plastic were used to emphasize that they were giving off a lot of energon, or they had large amounts of energon powering them. So, using clear plastic to emphasize a Transformers action figure that's supposed to have large amounts of energon contained within it is nothing new. Is not a new feature not a new gimmick that Hasbro and Takara Tomy have been doing. So, I won't go over too much of Vertebrake's. I'm sorry, I just called this character Vertebrake Skelevore, it's easy to get Skelevore's name mixed up with the others, since it's a play on the word skeleton on it. Just remember that Skelevore is the purple fossilizer because his name almost sounds like the character of Skeletor from the He-Man franchise. So I won't go too much into Skelevore's articulation, because even though the joints that offer the articulation themselves are made out of solid plastic, those joints are still exerting friction onto clear plastic parts. So I won't go over the articulation too much. I believe I covered the articulation in Paleotrex's review, so here is Skelevore next to Paleotrex. And again, apart from the fact that Skelevore is made out of purple plastic and Vertebrake is, I keep using the name Vertebrake, Paleotrex is made out of like a bony brown plastic and also solid brown plastic parts. They do have some differences in the paint that do further distinguish them from each other. Paleotrex has some gold highlights on his face, while Skelevore has silver highlights. And they do have the same exact robot mode head sculpt. It's just different parts have been highlighted on it. And I just love that here on Skelevore's robot mode head, that those black and silver stripes on it almost makes it look like he's wearing a knight's helmet on top of his head. So that's very nice to distinguish them from each other. And if you want, just like Paleotrex, you can give Skelevore or the skeletal face if you want these guys to look more monstrous and skeletal looking. So there's what I call the skull face there on Skelevore, pretty freaky looking. And there is a close-up of the Predacon faction symbol on Skelevor's chest. So if you had any doubt as to whether or not Skelevore was a good guy or bad guy, apart from the fact that he's packaged with Megatron, there's a Predacon symbol on his chest to show that he is just as evil as Paleotrex is. And if you wanted to further distinguish Paleotrex and Skelevore from each other, one thing you can do if you are inclined to do so is you can swap out the upper halves of the arms with each other. I've seen a couple of video reviewers do this in an attempt to try and distinguish the fossilizers who are mold mates with each other. So if you want to, you can swap out the upper arms and have arms, and then you can also put the tail club weapon in this hand and make Skelevore left-handed. So if you want to, you can have Skelevore and Paleotrex be mirror images of each other if you desire. The only drawback to switching out the upper arms is that the upper arm here that's made out of the dinosaur pelvis, it's the side that has all the screw. This side is the one that has all the screws on it, so it doesn't help. It detracts from Skelevore being more of a robot in disguise with those screws sticking out in front of your face. But if you can look past that, it's still either way. How you transform them. Skelevore is a pretty freaky member of the Fossilizers, and I do enjoy that the paint apps that are applied on Skelevore, they are enough that apart from the purple plastic, he does look distinguished enough from Paleotrex that even though it's obvious that they are of the same body type, they're the same mold, action figure mold, they do look like distinguished characters from each other. So without further delay, we will get Skelevore transformed into dinosaur mode, take a close look at him with Paleotrex, and wrap up the review. Alright, and so here is Skelevore in his fossil mode. You can see he's a fossilized Tyrannosaurus Rex that's entirely purple. And again, as I said, Skelevore is arguably the freakiest looking of the fossilizers because, unlike Paleotrex here, Skelevore is not colored in the colors that fossils have been known to be found in. There are fossilized versions of T-Rexes where the bones have been found in this type of color. Not so much the dark brown, but the lighter brown. And it looks like a faded bone marrow color. So yeah, Skelevore is arguably the least realistic looking of the fossilizers, and that makes him the freakiest looking in my opinion. So yeah, just like with Paleotrex, with Skelevore, what you see is what you get. He's a fossil. Similar to Beast Wars Megatron, he's a purple Tyrannosaurus Rex, but unlike Beast Wars Megatron, he is a fossilized Tyrannosaurus Rex. He can open his jaw up and down. You can't really get too much articulation in the skull unless you take out the robot mode head that fills the back cavity on the skull. The arms are on ball joints, so the T-Rex arms can go inward and outward and forward and backward. And even though they are ridiculously tiny, that is life accurate to how tiny the arms on an actual Tyrannosaurus Rex were. And then most of the articulation is in the legs. You can move the legs inward and outward, forward and backwards. You got double jointed knees because of the heel spur from the robot mode being left over, and the feet can go up and down. You got articulation in the toes moving up and down, and you can move the tail up and down. You can rotate it side to side so you can make it look like he has a whipping action with the tail. And yeah, that's pretty much it with Skelevore. Or one nice thing that I do enjoy about Skelevore in fossil mode is that Hasbro and Takara Tomy took the time to paint all of his teeth white. Actually, they're not white, they're silver. My apologies. My camera's making them look almost like off-white there, but yeah, those are silver, so that is a nice touch-up. Contrasts Paleotrex, whose teeth are painted gold. You can't really notice the teeth on Paleotrex unless you look at them really closely, and then you can see that the teeth are painted gold on Paleotrex, but on Skelevore they're painted silver, so even from a mile away he does have clearly defined teeth. And one nice thing about Skelevore is that the inside of his mouth is painted black. So it does look like the inside of a fossilized mouth right there. But yeah, that's pretty much all there is to say. So this has been my review of the third Transformers Netflix spoiler pack. Again, the main reason I got this spoiler pack was because I wanted to collect all of the Kingdom fossilizers, so I got this primarily for Skelevore here. And despite the fact that he's made almost entirely out of clear plastic, he is a pretty incredible looking fossilizer. So hopefully this purple plastic lasts at least a few years before it starts to crumble apart. Alright, and again, the main figure, which I didn't focus on too much because this was just a bonus figure for me. Here is the spoiler pack version of Megatron. His paint job is accurate to the Kingdom cartoon series. I bumped my camera as I try to get out of the way. So thank you guys all so much for enjoying this review. For the proverbial question, do I recommend getting the Netflix spoiler, the third spoiler pack? I do highly recommend getting Skelevore if you can, and get him because he is a pretty cool looking fossilizer. If you can only get Skelevore with the entire spoiler pack, then again I do recommend getting it, because even if you get it just for Skelevore like I did, you do still get a pretty decent looking Megatron figure, despite that figure being released for the 8th or 9th time. So thank you guys all once again, and thank you for your continued support. And if you haven't already, please like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you guys all so much, and until next time, you guys, transform and roll out. Goodbye, everyone.